Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. My name is Greg Dixon with the Notes Show. And today we have a guest, Brad Warren from Southern California. And he does a thing called land banking. I've known Brad for a few years now for various ways. And I've seen his presentation on land banking. And now, as you know, for this Grow Your Money aspect of the Note Center and the Note Show, we're looking at various ways, real estate investment opportunities, note investing, all that kind of thing, land development. And Brad has a very interesting um, proposition for you, an opportunity, and a interesting way. So, Brad, maybe you can just introduce yourself here.
First of all, Greg, thanks very much for having me on the show. And my name is Brad Warren. I live in Castro Valley, California, which is actually around the San Francisco area. The land, the dirt that I sell, is located in Southern California. I think on your screen you can see that white circle in the background. That's a 60-mile radius around downtown LA. I'm a former business coach, about 40 plus years as a seminar leader, business coach. I traveled nationally and internationally speaking on a number of different topics. And 5.5 years ago, I got my real estate license, and now I sell dirt. That's what I tell people when they say, "What do you do?" "Oh, I sell dirt."
Yeah, sell dirt. That's great. So I understand you have a bit of a presentation to about the land banking and what's involved with it and the steps. And we'll put it up on the screen here.
I'm going to keep it very short. And then if people have questions, I don't know if they call in or if they can type stuff in or whatever, or they can contact me later. So just a little background on me. I have a bachelor's of science in philosophy and psychology, of all things, from an engineering school. So that tells you a little bit about me. I'm a square peg in a round hole, or vice versa. I have an MA in education from UC Berkeley, mediator, negotiator, worked for a couple of different companies nationally and internationally, was a coach, speaker, and trainer for over 40 years. And at 67 years old, 5 years ago, I switched careers and started working with Valora Enterprises on February 9, 2018 as a land banking consultant. That's my official title. Our company is, we just call ourselves land experts. 44 years in business, started by the current owner's father. And the current owner, the CEO, is a trained economist, and he uses a lot of that in the work of finding the land. And we have 22,000 plus investors, bought and sold over 100,000 acres of land. And we basically try to help people build what we call generational or legacy wealth. That's what we're in the business of. There's actually a pre-COVID picture before I started growing my hair, and our little tagline, investing in land because they're not making any more of it. So just to describe land banking to people, and I'm going to show you an example from San Ramon, California, which is about 30-minute drive from my house. But imagine any town that you currently live in or have lived in, where one day you're driving down the street, you see an empty lot. It's just dirt and it's got a for sale sign. And you think to yourself, wow, maybe I should look into that. I wonder how much it costs. I wonder what they're going to build here. And, maybe it's going to be worth more. And you don't do anything about it. And 10 years later, you drive by and there's a hotel or a shopping center or 500 homes on that big tract of land that you did not buy. And now you're kicking yourself in the rear end saying, why didn't I do that? Well, here's a picture, Google Earth, 1993, San Ramon, California. By the way, some of these yellow lines, Greg, I don't know, can they see my cursor moving along the screen? Yes or no?
Not sure.
No, okay.
Move it again. I don't think so.
All right, you would see it. But the one at the bottom that says Bollinger Canyon Road, that yellow line is actually showing you where the current Bollinger Canyon Road is. But in 1993, that road wasn't even built yet. That exchange off the freeway wasn't even built yet. Well, let's fast forward 2009. Now the road is in underneath that yellow line. All those yellow lines, by the way, are now 2 or 3 lanes in each direction. And you can see the difference between no homes and a lot of homes. The land here, 5,000 an acre. The land here, $500,000 to $1 million an acre. One more example. This is Dublin, also 30 minutes from my house. The big road along the bottom, going from left to right, is Highway 580, which runs basically from Oakland all the way up into the Central Valley. And you can see a little bit of development. There's actually a housing development. There's a couple of farms going and stuff like that. But now let's fast forward 1993 to 2012. Again, 5,000 an acre. And here you're talking 1 million an acre or more. That big brown patch on the right, just north or just above the freeway, sort of above that white shopping center. You see the shopping center is that big, long, white sort of oblong or rectangle. That land recently sold for 1.1 million per acre. It was like a 200-acre farm. And the farmer had kept it for 20 or 30 years, finally sold it to a developer. That's all housing now. So all of that brown that you're looking at in 2012, 11 years later, it's all built in and it's all housing. So that's the basic concept of land banking. Buy land in the path of growth when it's cheap and affordable, hold it, and then sell it to a developer. Now, when I say in the path of growth, that's what we excel at our company. These are what are called the 10 key indicators to identify and locate pre-developed areas most likely to be in the path of growth. Where we invest, that 60-mile radius around downtown LA that I showed you earlier, all 10 of these growth factors are taking place at the same time. Some are more important than others, like population growth is going to be the key driver. But you also have to have infrastructure growth to go along with that. Business-friendly city government is extremely important. There are certain cities in California that are known for being anti-growth, and they put the kibosh, they put a deterrent to any developer that wants to build housing. So they want to maintain, the small town feel. And unfortunately, it's created a huge housing crisis here in California. Well, in the cities that we invest in, the city councils are all people who want to see a lot of growth. And the people moving to those cities want to see a lot of growth. The more people coming in, the more taxes there are. The more taxes there are, the more services they can provide to the community. So those are the 10 key indicators. The reason people invest with us to build generational wealth could include retiring, legacy wealth, helping your kids or even your grandkids go to college, getting out of the financial markets, which are up, down, and maybe sometimes just down, down, down. And I would say the primary reason for our clients mostly is to build their retirement portfolio. If you notice the date right under where it says Forbes in the middle of the article there, it says 8/19/2011, I believe is the date. That's 12 years ago. They were saying $1 million may not be enough. Well, I've been asking some of my financial planner friends now in 2023, how much do you have to have saved if you're going to retire at age 65 and live 30 years? And they're telling me $3 to $4 million in the bank, still earning money. So it still has to be invested in something, even if it's a small amount, at least to beat inflation. And then you take a portion of that 3 or 4 million out every year to live on. I don't know about you, Greg, but most of my friends don't have 3 to 4 million in the bank to retire on. So that's why many of them are investing in land, because of the huge returns that we can get for them. Here's some of the trends. That is a road in Los Angeles, California. That's the 405 freeway at rush hour. Yeah, and I can't even count, but I think there's 20 lanes of traffic, which is ridiculous. But we love it.
20 lanes of parking lot at some time.
Yes. It can take you 3 or 4 hours to get from one end of LA to the other. Well, a lot of the people in LA, because of COVID, and it pains me to say this, but COVID has actually helped our business, because what happened is Many people are now working virtually. And because of that, they can live pretty much anywhere, even internationally, and still do their job. So they're moving out of Los Angeles itself, where a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house could cost you anywhere from $3 to $5 million. And they're buying a brand new 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,300 square foot brand new house with solar on the roof in a gated community with a pool and a gym for $300,000 to $400,000. So we love seeing pictures like this. It's just, yeah, more of you leave that, move to the Antelope Valley. We love it. The more of you that move there, the higher the land prices are going to be for our investors when they go to sell. All right. Now you may look at this and say, Brad, what has marijuana got to do with land? Well, look at the size of these buildings. Growing marijuana in California, by the way, Proposition 61, I believe it was 2018 when it was passed, or maybe 2019, January 1st, makes it legal to smoke marijuana for recreational use here in California. And so the marijuana growers started to produce these gigantic facilities. They're called grow facilities, and they're acres. They're huge. They're not just like a little corner lot. They're gigantic. Notice also no employees. It's all regulated by thermostats and the air and the temperature and the humidity and the amount of water and the light. It's all on controls. The only live human beings that I've seen employed by these places are the guard dogs and the guards themselves with the AK-47s walking around the outside. And most of these places are encircled by barbed wire as well to prevent people from coming in and stealing millions of dollars worth of marijuana. So the whole marijuana industry is driving up the price of land to build these grow facilities. And we invest in land in the areas where they're building these grow facilities, mostly in what are called light industrial areas. And the biggest thing is solar. Solar has exploded in California. The state of California is required by state law to get all of its electricity for buildings and homes from renewables by 2045. That's 22 years from now. Over the last 22 years, we've only gotten to 36% from solar or from renewables, but mostly from solar. About 90% is coming from solar. The rest is hydro and a little bit of biomass and some wind as well. So solar is off the charts right now. The energy companies are going to be fined millions of dollars if they don't reach that goal in the next 22 years. So they are buying up land like nobody's business and building these giant 1,000-acre solar farms. And again, you don't have to own all 1,000 acres. If you own 1 acre in the middle of where they're proposing to build this, you can stop the entire project from going forward. And that's how you get such a fabulous return on your investment. How we find the land. And again, we could spend 20 minutes just on this one slide, but every piece of land that our company looks at before it even buys the land goes through a 16-point comprehensive analysis. And if it doesn't get 16 yes check marks, we don't touch it. There's something wrong with that land. We don't want to deal with it. It's got to have all 16. And because of that, we only buy 1 out of every 30 properties that we look at. That's how stringent our controls are. The bar that we jump over is that high. So when we buy a piece of land, which we then make available to our clients, to our investors, you know it's been well researched, risk mitigation has been applied, and we've reduced the risk as much as possible. Is there risk in investing in land? The answer is yes, just like there's risk in investing in anything. A house, the stock market, a storage unit, a hotel, crypto, everything has risk. We try to mitigate as much of that as we possibly can. Because the biggest risk in land is not what you see on the surface, but the hidden land mines. Here's a quick example. In the top left, you'll see that one rectangle. That's a piece of property. It's 10 acres. We sold it to an investor for $150,000. They went online. They found this map, only the map they found didn't have those dotted lines. And the property right under the one we sold to them, same size, 10 acres, was selling for $50,000. And they call us up yelling and screaming, saying, you crooks, you robbed me. It's 150. I could have gotten it for 50. And they said, hold on. We brought out a map. We laid it over the map that they had, and we showed them the dotted lines. And they said, "What are those dotted lines?" We said, "Well, that's an easement. Do you know what that is?" They said, "No." That allows the energy company to build a road through the middle of those 4 properties, rendering all 4 of them completely undevelopable. So you want to buy the one for $50,000? Great. You just threw $50,000 down the toilet. That's why our property is $150,000. They apologized profusely, hung up the phone, and haven't bothered us with complaints ever since. So how people can invest? We love cash, but retirement accounts work. IRAs and Roths and SEPs, 401ks, they have to be turned into what's called a self-directed IRA, but we can show you how to do that. The other things there, you 1031 exchanges where you sell some kind of real estate and buy a replacement real estate property. That's called like kind. So those are the different ways people can invest. And I do pay referral fees. So if you hear anybody say any of these things, I'm sick of tenants, toilets, and termites, my investments are stressing me out, I haven't put enough away to retire, I don't have 3 to 4 million in the bank, those are great referrals. I can talk about my referral program another time if they get a hold of me and explain what that program is and how to take advantage of it. And then what I tell people is use the referral fees that I send you, put them in a savings account, and when it hits 25,000, which is our minimum investment, then you can buy a piece of land, and it was like you bought it for free because all it was from referrals that you sent me. And finally, a quote from General Douglas MacArthur. He said, "All a man," and I added, "or woman, has to do to become rich in America is find out where people are going, get there first, buy land while it's affordable, and then wait." That is the end of the slideshow.
Well, thank you very much, Brad.
Sure.
Yeah, so I have a few questions here. And one, you mentioned that the starting range is, what did you say, 25,000? And then,
yes, 25,000 to 2 million is the client range, the investment range that we can deal with.
25,000 to 2 million. And what's your inventory like now? Like how many properties are available?
Well, the way it actually works is once our investor goes through a very lengthy process, they have to watch a 1-hour video called Land Banking 101, of which these slides are part, just to understand what they're getting themselves into. We don't let anybody invest with us until we educate them. Then they meet me and they get to ask some questions. Then they meet my business partner, Marcella. They ask more questions. And when they're all done asking all those questions, they say, "Okay, I have $50,000 or my range is $50,000 to $75,000. I would like to buy some land." We say, "Okay, we'll get back to you." Marcella then goes to the company and says, "We have a potential client between $50,000 and $75,000. Do we currently have a property in that price range? And is Brad's client first in line?" If the answer is yes and yes, we pull that out of inventory, meaning it's not available to any other salespeople, and it is directly presented to that investor as their property. They can refuse to buy it, but if they do, we probably won't work with them. Because why would they refuse a property that we've already done all the homework on, hours and hours and hours of research on? We bought it with our own money, so we know, we meaning the company, Valor, bought it with its own money, so we know it's a good piece of property. We're holding on to it, but we want to make it available to our investors. So then the client would buy it. Now, if for some reason they're not first in line, they would have to wait. Or if they're first in line, but we don't have a property in that range, then the research and acquisition department is tasked with the goal to go out and find one. So they take that list of 16 things, they start looking at land, they apply the 16, and maybe they find one. It's got all 16 and it's within the range that we can buy it for and then sell it to our client. Then the client will get it. So a client could wait 1 day, or my longest one took 3 months. There were so many people in front of her in the price range that she was at. It took us 3 months to find her a property. That's a little unusual. It's more like a few days.
Yeah, thanks for that explanation, Brad. The other thing is you sometimes say it's for the patient investor. So this isn't a get rich tomorrow scheme in any way. Do you have an idea, like how what the average company, what's the shortest one and maybe the longest one? What's kind of a typical time frame?
Okay, I'll answer in reverse. So in Marcella's presentation, the Land Banking 101, she mentions 7 to 10 years is about the average for the clients that we know. Now, first of all, some of our clients sell and we never hear what they sell for. So we don't know when they sold or how much they got. They don't tell us, which is really silly because we offer free negotiation coaching to help them get into the 3 to 7x return range, which is what we want. We want them to get between 3 and 7 times their initial investment. So 7 to 10 years is the average. It can happen sooner. I know one of Marcella's clients actually said they wanted the property, hadn't put down the deposit yet, and Valor got an offer for that property from a developer that was higher than what the investor was going to pay. And Valor turned them away and said, sorry, we have somebody that is buying this property. We'll let them know of your offer once they've closed escrow. So that was literally before they had even bought it. I know one guy that waited 15 years on a $400,000 huge property. When we met him on a company trip 4 years ago, his offer at that time was 10 million and he had turned it down. He then waited a few more years. And when we saw him recently, he said, oh yeah, we finally sold for $15 million. So if you can wait, if you're really patient and have 15 years, that is what's possible. Now, is that indicative of every sale? No, I cannot claim that for every sale. But we have several examples of people who have sold for millions. In fact, one of my clients now is negotiating. She bought it for $750,000 and she got a $2 million offer and she's still negotiating right now. So you can make very good money, but you must be patient. My 3 criteria, Greg, when I talk to somebody, they have to be nice, they have to be patient, and they have to have a minimum of $25,000 ready to invest. If they say, oh, Brad, I have a single family residence and I'm going to sell it and do a 1031 exchange, I say, great. When it's on the market and you get your first offer, then I can talk to you. Right now, I can't talk to you. You don't have the money yet.
Yeah. Yeah. You need the money. So the other thing is, I think you said that they're not making any more land. So the chances of any land in that area after you've done all of your due diligence decreasing in value is very small. And there's going to be a lot of pressure that at some point, could be years, 5 years, 7 years, whatever it is, it could be worth a lot more. Do you have an idea what kind of, like, if you do get an offer, what kind of increase is likely to be gained on your investment?
Well, like I said, we like people to get in the 3 to 7x range, 3 times the investment.
Yeah.
Marcella recently helped a client, actually didn't really help. The client had bought the land for $150,000. It was a solar property. And the first offer they got was $300,000. So 2x. They turned it down without even getting our help. They just said, no, thank you. They came back next at 450, then 500, then 750. And at this point, we intervened and said, we can't give financial advice. So we can't say, yes, sell. But we were saying things like, that's an extremely attractive price. You know, it's sort of hinting that 750 on a $150,000 investment was pretty good. She turned down the 750. And finally, they came back and they said, this is our final offer, 1.5 million. She then accepted it. And this was a mom with a daycare center. This was just like an ordinary investor. She had saved up money to buy the 150,000, but she's not fantastically brilliant. She's not an investing maven or connoisseur or expert or whatever. Just a regular old and average investor, but knew to hold out. Even she was surprised when they went that high on the on the last one. She says, okay, if they're doing that and they're telling me it's their last offer, I think I'm going to believe them. And she sold it for 1.5 million. Not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all. And pretty good work. So this is a really good opportunity, as you mentioned, with various IRA and various investment things for the long term. Like it could be a good place for your family, a family legacy. Also, it seems to me that this could be a really good deal for land developers too. Do you get land developers coming, like not just but actually develop it?
We're actually not allowed to sell to developers. That's not the philosophy of our company is not to help them out. They're rich. They're doing very well on their own. Our job is to offer at a reasonable price to average investors land 25,000, 50,000. My last client was 30,000. The one before that was 100,000. So very average investments in real estate. For people put more of that, they put more of a down payment on a house in California than that. If you're putting down 20% on $1 million house in California, that's 200,000 cash you have to have. So we're a lot more reasonable than that. But there is the hold period to consider. You don't want to be somebody who's 85 getting into land banking. I would kind of discourage that unless you were buying it for your children or your grandchildren. That's what we mean by legacy or generational wealth. Yes. You buy a $300,000 lot, you're 85 years old, you're not going to be around when it's out. Maybe you'll be around, but let's say you're not. But you put it in the name of your grandkid, who's only 20 now. You're 85, they're 20. And in 15 years, they're 35, and they sell that $300,000 lot for 1.5 million, 2 million. That kid's got a lot of money for the rest of their life.
Yeah, maybe buy something in the name of somebody when they're in elementary school, and then it'll pay for their college education.
I had one potential client. Actually, we discussed that.
Yeah.
She wasn't sure if she wanted to buy it for herself. I said, well, do you have kids? She says, yeah, I've got 2 or 3 kids. I said, well, you put down 25,000 now on each of the 3 or 4, I think she had 3 or 4 kids, put down $100,000, buy them each 1 acre of solar land, wait 10 years when they're 15, 16 and they're applying to college and sell it for 125, 150. You got enough to pay for 4 years ago. Well, it depends on the college. You go to Stanford or Harvard or even MIT, where I went, their tuition now is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's 6 figures, I believe. So maybe you have enough for 1 year. But again, depending on the college that you go to, you'd have enough to put them through a decent school for 4 years on just that one purchase.
That's a really good idea. Lots of possibility. So what is the best way to get a hold of you?
The best way, Greg, is for people to email me. I'm very responsive to emails. I see scrolling across the screen there is my LinkedIn profile if you want to read a little bit more about me. But brad@bradwarren.com. BRADWARREN.com. And people say, well, when did you get that email address? So I got it many, many years ago, and I got it with my name because I figured I'd never forget my own name. So I'll never forget my own email address. Brad@bradwarren.com.
Brad@bradwarren.com. I put it in the chat. I think that's right. Anyway, it reminds me what you said about figuring out what your domain name should be. And the marketer said, what's your first name? What's your last name? Put those together. Think about it again.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. That's perfect.
Yeah. Perfect. If people email me, I respond to emails usually within 24 hours, even when on vacation. In fact, it's really funny because my business partner, Marcella, is always joking with me. Almost every time I go on vacation, somebody emails me because they want to buy some property. And it's like, oh, now I got to work while I'm on vacation. Oh, gee. Darn. Yeah. My laptop, I'll take it down, in Cancun. I'll be sitting out by the pool and signing up somebody to buy land. And then I just paid for the entire vacation.
On the laptop freedom plan.
Yeah, right.
Bonnie and I are going to start a series of podcasts called Laptop Freedom, all about all different ways of earning money on laptop.
Excellent. I love it. But yeah, if they send me an email, I get back to them within 24 hours. And then we either set up a Zoom or I send them the link. If they just want to say, I want more information, I send them the link to watch what we call Land Banking 101. And then after that, then they usually get a hold of me and say, I want to buy. What do I do next?
Yeah.
So that presentation by Marcella is kind of the key that we use for people to get educated. And once they're educated, if they're serious about investing, they'll usually, right after that, they'll just say, yeah, I'm ready. I got some more questions, but I love this idea.
Yeah.
So
contact Brad. And again, Brad also rewards referrals. So even if you're not ready to invest, if you know somebody investing, they're sitting on some money that is not working for them, they're not sure what to do with it, have them touch with Brad.
in fact, that $100,000 sale that I made last week came from one of my finders.
Yeah.
So they're going to make $2,000 actually on that referral, and it took them 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
10 minutes equals $2,000. Not a bad hourly rate of pay.
Not a bad rate. Okay. Well, that's good for now. Thank you for joining us, Brad.
Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
All righty. You can stick on the end. I'll just the broadcast here. If I can get over to that. Where am I? There we are.